Coming up on OTH, Ray and I to discuss patch 12.4 with a ton of champion changes. We also talk about CoreJJ getting his green card and what that means for Team Liquid, as well as what's going on with TSM support moving down to Academy before getting into week 2 of the LCS. We hope you enjoyed this episode of On the Hunt. Welcome everybody to episode 45 of On the Hunt, a League of Legends podcast. I'm your co-host Chris, aka the World Blocker, because I put my headphones on a lot and I just kind of leave them in, and the outside world is just doesn't exist to me when I have my headphones on. Because I have like a lot of noise canceling, like different headphones, like AirPods Pro, and also a headset as well. Mm-hmm. And I just can't hear anything else, and a lot of stuff could be going on.
Both at the same time. So
I have done that before when I used to have like really annoying neighbors, and then also like sometimes when I used to live with my mom, like she would babysit my niece and nephew, and they're just loud little fucks. And so once I used to wear both of them at the same time, and it was very peaceful.
I can believe it. I like that.
And I would say, give it a try sometime. and they work pretty well on airplanes as well. And also joining us today is our other co-host, Raymund. How's it going, man?
Dude, it's going good. Going good. You know, it's been the Lost Ark week pretty much, right? Like that was where we
For me it has been.
Yeah. I think you a little bit more than me, but you know, we're both getting there. I'm on the way. I'm catching up.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying the game, still trying to figure it out, but on Saturday I had my big D-Gen day, played for like maybe 12 or 14 hours.
Yeah.
And I had a blast doing it, and I haven't done something like that in quite some time. But I'm really enjoying the game so far. And I don't know how much longer I'll play it, and I'm really only playing it because I know some other people that play it, and that's the fun in it for me is like,
yeah,
not just I like the feeling of knowing that I'm progressing towards something, but also I like that I can play it for like short bursts of time and I feel like I'm getting somewhere. And then also, I don't get mad playing this game, unlike some other games. TFT, fuck you. And also, I like playing with my friends.
Yeah, you got a squad. I feel like that's definitely what makes it like in MMOs. Like some are fun, you know, to play. Like you can do the leveling, you can do some dungeons, just matchmake or play it solo or whatever. But the end game and like the actual progression of it, I feel like is fun when you can play with people and shoot for something rather than just like mindlessly do the grind.
Yeah, and honestly, that's why I don't have a sub for Final Fantasy 14 right now. I really like that game, and I probably played it for 3 months, and the last month I was playing by myself because I didn't know anyone else who played it anymore, and I really like it, and I would play more. I just don't have anyone to play with, and I was like in a guild, but like didn't really talk to them. It was kind of weird. But anyways, let's talk League of Legends, of which I have played 0 of in the last week.
Yeah, I actually played the last couple of days. I've played a little bit just because I think I was a little like I wasn't super degen on Lost Ark, but I played it enough on like Thursday, Friday, Saturday that I was taking a break the last few days, just like I can play some League instead.
That's a good mixer upper. How did those games go?
They went pretty good. I was playing some games where I was playing with some friends who are either new to the game or haven't played in a little while. So it was some very low
That's
skill
an adventure.
Games. Yeah, it was an adventure. I was doing my best to carry as many games as I could. But it was fun. Those are like, it's a special kind of challenge. As long as I always feel bad. I feel bad when it's like they're like when it's actually people that are new to the game. I'm like, man, I don't know what to tell you. Like I can try to help you some, but like you're just gonna feed. I'm not gonna lie. Like those games, sometimes it's rough, but as long as they're like okay with it and not like mad, like fuck, I'm dying, I'm 0-12 or whatever. Like it's like, hey man, it's okay. We're just having fun. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, sometimes I like playing with like recently level 30 people as well, because then the matchmaking is like sometimes like in your favor, sometimes not. Where like sometimes the person in their lane is also level 30 or
Right.
like just a little bit better, and then like you can still like hard carry through that. And then sometimes the other person is like the one closer to your skill level in their lane, But then there's a different part of the map that's like their skill level, and that's the side you can still punish. So it's kind
Right.
of fun in that sense, where like there's somebody you can pick on in those games to make up for the weakness on your side.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we always managed to keep it like pretty competitive. There were a couple games. There was one I think where it was like, I had like the top side of the map was hard losing. Like multiple people with like 10 kills. It was like scary, but we'd stalled out long enough to make it a freaking slobber knocker. And I think I had like 20 something kills by the end, but we still lost. But it was okay.
Dang, you're having a lot of like 20 x kills lately, like more than there
Yeah,
probably should be.
yeah. I mean, yeah. It's tough. I mean, we're playing against like literal. It's like iron or bronze or like sub 30 players. So it's like, yeah. I'm not gonna take too much credit for it.
But yeah, well, those sound like a blast. And then also we can just go ahead and jump right into patch 12.4 with 11 champion buffs, if I counted that correctly, and 6 champion nerfs. So a lot of adjustments here. And then some of the same changes to the support items that we talked about in the preview last week. And then also just a couple of other gems thrown into this patch so far. So starting with champions, was there anything that kind of caught your eye that either we didn't discuss last time or is a little new here?
Yeah, I think one. I don't know. I don't remember if we talked about this last time, but the Kiana nerf is kind of nice. I think they nerfed the damage on her passive, which is how she. I think that's one of the ways that she really does surprise people with like passive resets. When she changes elements and that kind of stuff. So Um, nice to get some damage down on that. Hopefully she's not terrorizing more games.
Okay, yeah, that's kind of a weird way that I would think about like adjusting her. Dude, it's so crazy lately where I feel like Kiana ulti is not fair sometimes with the way that it looks. I feel like it pushes you a little farther than it looks that like it does. But
Yeah.
and also I'm pretty sure enemy Kianos always push you farther.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure when I play Kiana, I always push them like into absolutely nothing. Like it must go in the wrong
Yeah, it's
direction or
so
something.
crazy.
Yeah.
Um Anything else for you? On not a lot catches my attention. There's a lot of like adjustments to Veigar here that kind of caught my attention, like higher cooldown on his E for the first couple of levels, and then also just some adjustments to his stats as well.
Yeah, I saw that too. I thought it was kind of interesting that they mentioned that it's like a bot specific nerf. Like I'm kind of someone who plays. I'll dabble in the mages bot, like the Ziggs and the Vigars and the Syndras every once in a while. When my team is picking all AD the rest of the map. But I kind of see what they mean by this change. I think it like the armor stuff. It's like it's a wash by like level 8, so it's not really that big of a deal. I think. And like the E nerf just seems like a pretty impactful nerf anyway. The 2 seconds like at early ranks, like until you get to like level 9 or like level 11, I guess, and have a couple points in it, like it's gonna be a like significantly longer cooldown on his cage. So I don't know what to think about that too much, but I'll probably still pick him bot lane just because he's a fun champ.
Yeah, not the end of the world. Just kind of interesting to see. Um, okay, so anything else for any champions that interests you from this patch?
I don't know. I'm just, I mean, I think we talked about a lot of these adjustments last time, so probably just like looking to see if like these Zeri changes are really effective. I want to see actually if the Zaya changes bring people back to a crit build. It's I'm surprised almost that they didn't like do an adjustment to hit the lethality build more, like and just like gave a raw buff to the crit focus, but we'll see what that does. I think the other one, just for our C9 enjoyers, I'm interested to see if the Alawi buff, the like that seemed like a pretty significant buff to like her baseline effectiveness, giving her more percent HP on her W hit. And I know that LS is a big Alawi enjoyer himself, so we might see Fudge playing some Alawi mid come next week or whenever the
Middle.
patch makes it to LCS. Yeah, dude. It's the way I've seen it, LS played a few times on stream, and I think the way that it's like supposed to operate is kind of similar to like how Ivern lanes, where it's like you just haven't you have just enough push and like some sustain to like ignore a lot of harass from the other laner. So if it's like a mage, if it's like Victor or something, and they don't really have kill threat on you if you just go and try and clear the wave. So you just slam your tentacles and take them down. But then at the same time, you have like more than Ivern in that sense. You have a good bit of like actual kill pressure, like lane pressure, if you can land your E consistently. So it's playable. It's playable, I would say.
Yeah, I would say if you land your E, it's playable.
True, true, yeah, true.
That's probably the most important part, or like and also the most terrifying part about playing against an Alawi.
Hmm.
Okay, and then outside of champions, there's a couple of things that kind of interest me so far. The first thing is being allowed to ping your ally item cooldowns. So now you can ping your allies Zanya's and stuff like that for those long cooldowns,
True, yeah.
or their Gale forces or something like that. Make sure you let them know they didn't use it, or you can see if it's really like on cooldown or not.
Yeah, I do think that's weird that they like you couldn't really do that before or like be able to tell. But yeah, I think it'll be nice to be able to check cooldowns. I feel like I'll do that for Flash sometimes and like ultimates already. So it is weird that you can't do that for stuff like Sonya's
Yeah,
or
I feel
Queen
like this is
before.
this is like a couple years late compared to some of the
Yeah,
other stuff.
honestly.
Another thing that's kind of interesting here is they're increasing the cost for rejuve bead. So now it's just double the cost and then also sells back for less. So you're more incentivized to build into something. Uh, just kind of came out of nowhere, in my opinion. Just kind of interesting as well.
Yeah, it is kind of weird. I think what probably prompted it is more there's I think it's been like Akali's that I've noticed it on going just like the triple rejuve like start instead of opting for a Dorian's item or like Dark Seal or something. Um and I don't know that I feel like Akali's kind of the only one who can really abuse it, right? Because it's an energy champ and she's like weak as fuck early, so you don't really need more damage because it's useless. Um, so it's more just a hit to those like weird specific things. I don't know. It is like surprising almost. It's gonna feel weird to have such an expensive rejuve bead after all these years of it being less than 200.
Yeah, I'm probably like one day we'll look back and we'll remember these days. You could just buy like, three off the start or something like that, or buy like five of them in ARAM just right off
Yeah.
the bat.
It reminds me of the like 13 pot like Katarina and Mordekaiser starts back in the day. You remember those? Like the season
Yeah,
3,
or you
season
could
4 days?
yeah, or you could start Red Pot or something like that
Mm-hmm.
for top laners. Yeah.
Jesus. How toxic were those, man?
And then I also kind of want to talk about the support item thing again. We covered it in the preview, but they're doing some adjustments to kind of combat against the smite top roaming support play style that's kind of been dominating a lot of higher level play. And I saw a couple of pros tweet on Twitter that this is still probably not enough, and it'll still probably run rampant even when this change goes through. So there'll just be like even more time with support tops showing up in LCS Academy and LCS as well. And so, do you want to go over these changes again?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, if we want to, I'll touch on what they are real quick. They changed I think the big thing they changed was that the way that the CS penalty works now is a little different. It's basically earlier in the game, before 5 minutes, you can only CS 2 minions per minute before reaching the penalty, where previously it was 4 minions per minute. After 5 minutes, it's still the 4 minions per minute like it was before. But so the general strategy for the smite support tops that we've seen recently has been like you just lane kind of like as normal for the first few minutes. I think you start with the support item, right? So that's why it matters. And you can kind of CS, 4 minions per minute is like 2 per wave. So you take like melee minions or the cannon, and then the rest of the time you're just trying to push the wave or trying to catch all the XP and CS when you can and harass when you can to get your item stacks up. And then after that, it's like after level 3, it's like I'm out of there. So this kind of forces you that like those first couple waves, you get a little less gold, and then also like it just takes a little bit longer for you to come online that way. I don't know. I think I don't know. You have any thoughts about that part of it? Like, is
I
that going to
really
have an
don't care
effect?
about that part of it.
Yeah, I guess the other part is that's pretty interesting is with how it's been abusing like bounties, and so the gold
Yeah,
bounties that come from objectives and that kind of stuff is now based. It's like it's basically diminished if you have another support item on your team. So objective bounty gold is like a lot. Like say your team is up by 2,000 gold, but the enemy team has two smites on their team, right, or two support items on their team, then that 2,000 gold lead is actually treated as like much less. Um, so that way that team doesn't get like the objective bounties online faster, which like as of now it would like obviously come into effect really quickly because that champ is just not CSing. Um, I think that part does seem pretty impactful, just in terms of like the team. I feel like now it is kind of weird that you'll see teams just not. You're just kind of going along doing this random, um, support top uh, strategy, and then later into the game, it's still relatively even overall. Like your carries are as fed as their carries. You just have a support instead of a tank or a bruiser top, and then suddenly you have objective bounties just because your top laner has decided not to farm. So yeah, hopefully that kind of ties or puts things more in line with how they expected it.
yeah. I foresee that there's probably going to be even more adjustments coming in the next patch. But so it seems like the first round robin is of the LCS is just going to be dominated by, or maybe not dominated, but we'll see more of support top in the
Yeah,
in
I'm
the
kind
near
of
future.
yeah, I'm interested to see like it's thus far it seems like people haven't come up with any counter strats to it. Like somebody was talking about it, maybe it was like Mark Z that I was hearing through something, but like with lane swaps, I feel like people were doing their best to try and come up with like, oh, how do we optimally lane swap, or how do we, what can we do to punish their lane swap if they do it, whether that's diving on the strong side, or like you do some cheese stuff to like sneak more farm into your top laner that's on the weak side of the lane swap. I think Mark Z was talking about doing like the optimal strat is really just like send your AD carry into the top lane instead of letting like your top laner do it. And like early on, you can have right some like pretty decent kill pressure out of a normal like a more normal top laner with a support against a normal ADC in support. Like imagine like an Aurelia with a Leona rather than just like a Caitlyn Leona versus something. And then your Caitlyn goes top against a Janna and just pushes and farms and gets plate bounties and that kind of stuff. So like I wonder if like we haven't seen any counter strats like that yet, or more like draft targeting. People are still kind of just sticking with like Tryndamere and Graves, which have been like normal meta picks and just going Hullbreaker and trying to punish it that way. So I don't know if we're like we've yet to see what the real counters are, and now that this is nerfed, it's going to open up like people to actually try to do something about it rather than just like let them continue to get away with it or handshake the lane.
Yeah, we'll say I'm. It's kind of cool that like last week I was talking about Tryndamere, and then all of a sudden, all these people are playing Tryndamere in the
Yeah.
LCS, and I like the adaptation where I think they are building Hullbreaker first, and then Mythic item second, and
Mhm.
yeah, they're just really trying to push that advantage, even if it is against like a traditional lane. Like I think I saw one where it was someday on Tryndamere, and the other person was Graves top. I can't remember who it
Yeah.
was.
I think
But
maybe
yeah,
that
that
was the
one
Impact game, the EG 100
oh, you're
game.
right. You're right. And
Yeah.
Impact didn't die. I don't think. For like
Yeah.
the first half of the game, but yeah, someday just was able to generate a lot of golden pressure that way.
Yeah, it is. I do think it's kind of funny how people like that. That's what I mean, though. It feels like almost people aren't like those are normal meta picks, right? Like that's also the picks that people are punishing into the support tops. But like if they don't pick support top, you're just like, yeah, I'm good with this anyway too.
Yeah, I'll be looking forward to see if anyone does more adaptations like you were talking about, maybe doing some lane swaps and grabbing more plates that way or something like that.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely more opportunities to explore. I bet C9 is gonna have some stuff cooked up if somebody tries to pick like Janatop against them.
yeah, that'd be really cool if like a team like really hard punishes or something like that, and a team like Cloud9 that has a lot of resources to be able to internally scrim and test stuff like that, and like really just play the first 10 minutes and see how like punishing that would be. If you did something like unexpected, then they would be the team to pull something like that off.
Yeah.
Anything else in the patch that catches your eye?
No, not for me, I think. I think we got through most of that stuff. I didn't look through any of the bugs or anything, so you tell me if there were any good bug fixes in this one. I guess we
Yeah.
also didn't talk about Admiral what's her name? Renata
Oh,
Glass
Renata. Yeah,
coming
she is
in.
going to be coming out this patch, I believe. February 17th is the release date, so you'll be able to play and yeah, just play her. Which reminds me, I haven't bought Zeri yet, and after her price reduced, so I should go do that.
Oh yeah, get on that too. It's very sweet.
Also, so with this patch is going to be Admiral, Renata skin, Shockblade, Kiana, Shen, and Kassadin, which look pretty cool. Firelight Echo, and then they have here Brave Phoenix Zaya Prestige Edition. I thought that already came out, or maybe it was just not the Prestige, and the Prestige is here now. So that does look pretty sweet.
Yeah, I don't know about maybe haven't they been talking about doing like prestige revamps now? Like they're like we're tired of just having gold chromas and now we're gonna do like some real redesigns for it. I don't know if this is the first one of those or if we're both just collectively misremembering that
I have not been on top
that
of
Phoenix
that
Size skin did not
discussion or
happen.
that kind of stuff with prestige
It seems
points
like
or
I have seen stuff. I don't know that I've read it, but like I thought I saw something about that maybe. We'll come back to that. That'll be a research topic for next episode. But
yeah.
those
So
skins I do think are kind of cool. It's cool to have the Firelight Echo finally come back. Like hopefully they made some good changes to that. And the Cassidon skin, I feel like it kind of is gonna look like the splash art reminds me a lot of the Cosmic Reaver Cassidon, but it does seem like a cool theme for him.
yeah, Cosmic Reaver is pretty cool. I wonder how I mean the Lee Sin skin is like so crazy with how nice it is. So I wonder if any of these
Hmm.
skins are gonna approach that at all. And then yeah, I think what you were alluding to is that the Firelight Echo it was like not as polished as it should be for the skin price line that it was in. And so yeah, hopefully they added some new effects or whatever was needed to bring it in line with I think other um skins in its price line.
Yeah, feels like they were it was missing animations or like extra voice lines or something that people were like this should be in here for whatever this price line is and normally it is, right? And they said like look, we scrapped it because we had to get it out in time or like, whatever and so they brought it back. I think the main one I remember was they were actually going to give him like a hoverboard on his like speed, like his fast running like animation. So I think they did that for sure.
I mean, I would think that's from the start like that. Isn't
That's
that
what
the
I
whole
thought
point?
too. I think that's probably why a lot of people were mad.
Yeah, I'd be pretty. Yeah, I thought that was the whole point. Okay, so we did a good, I mean, a decent rundown of patch 12.4. Next
True.
up, we've just got all things LCS. So, uh, usually we record on Tuesdays. Today we're recording on Wednesday. And thank goodness this time because a little bit of extra news came out so far this week. So, the first thing that I've got here is it looks like CoreJJ is receiving U.S. citizenship with his green card as well. And with that, he would be considered a resident as far as LCS import restrictions go. And then that's particularly important for Team Liquid because then he can also play alongside the other supports. I mean, the other imports in his team as well, such as Whippo and Hansama. So I think it started off with one thing with like TL Duodo just tweeting a picture of TF and the card
Hmm.
he's holding is like just photoshopped to be green. And then I think I have seen some other reports of like, oh yeah, they're reporting that CoreJJ has received the residency status. So any commentary on that, my good sir?
I, at this point, I'm just like excited to see what TL looks like with their real roster. I think, as far as I know, they've actually been like scrimming with this full roster when they can. Like
I think
so
so too.
even though Ayla's playing the stage games the last couple of weeks, it's they've it's not like they're out of practice, even though Core hasn't been able to play. So hopefully that means, we're gonna see like the full power of Team Liquid, and there's not gonna be more, growing pains or anything as they adjust. And even if there were like even if they hadn't been able to scrim, I feel like Core is the kind of guy that would be able to come into the team anyway, and they'd be fucking good. So I'm excited to see, you know, a TL that's already looked pretty decent come in with, their full power of the world championship MVP, CoreJJ.
Yeah, and then I was watching a bunch of Travis Gafford videos over the weekend. I saw an interview with Ayla, and it seems like he was doing a good fit on Team Liquid, and I actually kind of liked the way he was playing from what I've seen out of him in the lock-in tournament, as well as in the first few games of the spring split as well. So, shame that he might go back down to Academy for now, and it almost feels like a bit of a Jenkins situation from last year, where it's like, yeah, this guy should be an LCS, um, but also feels nice to like have the mentorship of CoreJJ at the same time when you're in the academy team
Yeah.
of that team.
Hopefully for Ayla's sake, it's not like a Jenkins situation where it's like you showed up pretty good and then next year you're on CLG. So
Yeah, we'll probably talk more about that later about CLG.
yeah,
And then speaking of CLG, the next topic I have here is TSM Shenyi being moved to Academy from like a kind of kind of an announcement that TSM had put out on Twitter, and it's not really clear. Like it just said he was going to go to Academy, and I think the next inference is that he's not going to be playing an LCS as well. That whoever the Academy
yeah.
support is will be playing an LCS in his spot.
I I think I did see that confirmed by their CEO, the TSM CEO, whether that was like through like their Discord or something, but it wasn't
Oh,
on that
okay.
main tweet. But that's what's gonna happen as of now. It's there's Academy support. Yersan is taking over the LCS spot this weekend, and Shenyi is going to Academy.
Yeah, so there's that. It's only been 2 weeks and 4 games of the LCS, and they're I think in that TSM announcement they were kind of citing that his he hasn't adjusted to North America just quite yet, and that's kind of the reason for putting him down to Academy.
Yeah.
But so what are your thoughts so far on just first the movement in general, then secondly maybe your thoughts on kind of any implications that this might have for where the TSM roster is at right now.
Yeah, I mean this one seems like kind of bad to me. Not gonna lie. Like I feel like from the last couple of weeks you could tell that Shenny was usually not like on the same page as the rest of the team, or maybe rather the other way around, where like he would be going for like some pretty sick plays, like engages where like he's obviously ahead of the team and that kind of stuff. And maybe people wouldn't follow up, or it was just like they were obviously too far away to follow up. Whether that's they're not getting in position when he's like saying, "Oh, I'm looking for this," that kind of stuff. It's hard to tell, but um, like it was clear they were out of sync, regardless, right? So the benching like on its own, makes sense to me from that aspect. But then to say like, oh, it's just because he hasn't adjusted to NA, I don't know how that necessarily ties into the onstage issues we saw. So I don't know. It does seem a little shaky. I don't know. The other thing, I don't know if you saw the Travis Gafford tweeted out that like there was like apparently TSM is also like let go of somebody in their coaching staff, and he didn't say who in the report, but like that speaks of like more internal issues, and probably there were disagreements, about maybe this benching or whatever led to it internally. So that speaks a lot more about like it seems like there's some stuff going on in TSM behind the scenes, and I don't know what to expect from them coming up until we hear any more about this benching and the team's performance in the weekend.
Yeah, it just seems like a lot of trouble is going on inside of that team at this time, and so kind of worried about it. I will say that I actually don't have anything else to say on this topic unless if you do.
Yeah, I mean, like I don't know. Just the last thing would be that I'm surprised that they're this quick to make changes about this kind of thing. Like I would have thought that
Mm-hmm.
like the beginning of the season they sounded pretty, even like the week before LCS started and speak of being on Hotline League or in interviews or whatever sounded, it didn't seem like TSM was going to be good from that perspective. I doubt anybody expected them to be 0-4 bad, but I wasn't expecting them to be good. So to be this quick to make changes, it's only after week two, and I don't know. I think that sounds like it might be a bit of a like quick trigger finger for those kind of things. When that doesn't seem like that would be the approach from the whole of the team going in. So it feels to me like there must be something more going on that we're not hearing about.
Yeah, and then also I just feel bad for him, like coming here. He and from having watched TSM Legends, like he didn't even know Kai Duo. Like they had just met each other back in January as well. So he
Right.
kind of he's actually just here on his own by himself in a new country, and now they just put him down to academy, and so that must be pretty tough. It like I don't know why like I'm seeing it from that perspective as well, but yeah, so there's some
Yeah.
stuff going on there.
Yeah. I definitely feel bad for the guy.
Now let's talk about some LCS. Last week I had kind of focused our discussions on the breakout of Cloud9. The true roster coming out with LS Summit, and the other two Koreans, Winsome and Berserker.
Mhm.
Which I also listened to the Winsome interview with Travis Gafford, and where Travis asked him like, so how do you have residency again? And so it's just kind of cool like to have to get that out of him and see that answered. But anyways, so this week, I think that this week was kind of TL's week, where they had some important matches this week, in comparison to how the standings were, where they were able to beat Cloud9 on Saturday, and then also beat the last undefeated team in FlyQuest as well. So had some pretty big implications on the league, with TL's two games, and they won both of them. Were you able to catch any of Team Liquid's games from this past weekend?
Yeah, I definitely was able to the C9 game. I was able to watch that one. That seemed like the kind of highlight of the weekend for me. Definitely, it was a battle of the Titans and a like really exciting game to watch. Pretty back and forth, pretty tense. We got to see Blabber bring out Karthus for the first time. The LS picks, that kind of stuff, and then Whippo just continuing to take over games with his play on Gragas. Finding some really creative flanks and engages and saving them in fights. So that game definitely looked like, damn, TL is good. At the same time, it kind of felt like, damn, C9 is good too, because they were both like pushing each other in that, like in both ways. But I don't know. TL, I agree with you. They definitely looked like really good, and that's still without CoreJJ. So let's see what they look like in week three. Am I right?
Yeah, so I would say that was contender for game of the week if I had to pick one, for me.
Yeah, definitely. I would say game of the week, if not, like I think that one next to probably the TSM Golden Guardians one were both like really entertaining. I think the TL C9 one was maybe a little bit more high level, but yeah, I definitely agree.
Agreed. And so, with that, just kind of putting a story to the week. I'm just gonna go over the records at the end of week two. So there are 5 teams still tied for first place, with a 3-1 record. That makes Cloud9, Dignitas Quantum Pay, Team Liquid, FlyQuest, and 100 Thieves. Next up, we have Evil Geniuses and Golden Guardians, both at 2-2. In 8th place, we have Immortals at 1-3. And then lastly, we have TSM and CLG tied for 0-4. And interestingly, I do believe that they will be playing each other not next week. Okay, so
Yeah,
so
not this week, but the week after, I think.
okay, yeah. So I think that's also this prior weekend was also a good weekend for the Golden Guardians because they had a 2-0 weekend here. A win over TSM, like you were saying, that ended in a base race, and then also a victory over CLG. So just nice to see them in high spirits and getting a 2-0 over people lower in the
The
league.
two bottom teams, yeah. Yeah, I agree. Like Golden Guardians, obviously it's like not statement wins, but you want to be able to take those games over, teams that are clearly underperforming at the moment, or either underperforming or just performing badly. So good for those guys. I
Yeah,
thought
and
yeah,
go
I was
ahead.
just gonna say I think like the TSM game, it obviously looked sloppy. I don't know that I remember watching the Golden Guardians CLG game, but like those kind of games, it's like I'm I'm fine getting the win, even if it was a fucking mess. Like I'm I'm proud of that one.
Yeah, and then the last game that I want to talk about from last weekend is the 100 Thieves versus Immortals game on Saturday. I would probably consider this one an upset where what it's just in the sense that I still look at 100 Thieves as like, the last splits winner. And so I have
Hmm.
just a little, pretty high expectations for them to run it back here in this split. And then just great to see Immortals pull out their first win of this of the season. And I think they were trying to say on the broadcast that this is the first win that they've gotten, period.
Yeah,
Because even in lock-in, maybe they didn't win any games. So I haven't fact checked that, but I think that's what they were saying.
yeah. I think they were 0-4 in their group as well. So they got they didn't even go to knockouts, and then they started out 0-2 in week one. So 6 games in a row lost, and then they come back to beat defending LCS champions, 100
Yeah,
Thieves.
there you go. So that's just the last game that I kind of wanted to highlight.
Yeah, that one definitely. I remember watching that one was pretty fun too. Just getting to see, like, it felt like a little bit like closer was just gonna take over the game. He was on Viego. He got really fed again, and it was like, man, Immortals just can't catch a break. Closer's too good, but they pulled it out. They hung in there, and I think they kind of had the better comp. I feel like they had like bringing back the Tom Kench support, and Revenge was holding down top lane with the whole Breaker Graves and stuff. But it looked like a good game from that team. This one I thought was going to be almost. I almost expected 100 Thieves to be like, damn, are we actually like even good anymore after this game? Because their Sunday matchup against EG, that looked like that was going to be the hard match of the week, and then they lose to Immortals, who looked pretty bad, admittedly, over the first week, right? And it's like, damn, they're just gonna start tumbling. Is 100 Thieves even good? But they pulled it back on the next day. But like not a great look for these guys to lose to Immortals, I think.
Yeah. All right. Anything else for the last week's set of games before we look forward to the next week?
Let's see. There was one other game. It was the Dig EG game. That was the first game on Saturday. That was a fucking mess of a game too, if I remember right. But now there's been so much other stuff that's been going on this week that I forget. Um, Let me look back if I can scroll. Oh, right. This was EG. EG picked the Enchanter top. Impact was playing Karma uh, to start the game out, and it was like it wasn't going like super well for them. Like it felt like they couldn't execute on the dives. EG was or Dignitas was just kind of getting ahead. Impact was getting picked off a couple times, but in the end, it was really EG that was, I mean, it's not fair. You had the Enchanter top, they had Olaf jungle, they had Corki and Jinx just to round out the full scaling comp. So they pulled it out after a long, hard battle. But it was funny. I remember in the cast they were talking about Fake God. This split's gonna be so fucked for top laner stats, just like fasting Senna splits have been fucked for 80 carry stats. But Fake God had like a 7 times the CS of his opponent. That kind of stuff
Uh huh.
was fun to watch.
Yeah, I do remember that because I remember it sticking out to me because there was an Ari in that game.
Yeah, that was like it felt like Blue was doing his best to like it was a really weird game just because the teams were like trying to group, but nobody wants to fight the Karma team, and then the game ended with like a weird base race where like it was just Ari split pushing against the Corki, and he was into the base, and then Dignitas was trying to like stop backs, but EG was able to force the fight, and then Dignitas just gets aced, and Blue can't really do anything against the Corki wave clear. You can't just walk past them to hit the Nexus. So it was just a slow death for Dignitas after like keeping the game pretty close for most of the way. But it was it was really like a weird situation more than anything, not like a really disappointing way to end it. Like you can see the thought process that both sides were going through, but it just didn't work out for Dignitas in the end.
Yeah, and so I'm really happy with the way that Dignitas has been going along this split so far. I think a lot of people are caught off guard because they still have some newer players on their team like Fake God and Neo, and then they've got with bringing back Battlefirost. I think a lot of people are impressed with him so far as well, and so I want to take that into looking forward to next week as well. So one matchup I am looking forward to is Dignitas versus FlyQuest on Saturday. With both having 3-1 records, I'm interested to see who's going to come up on top on that one.
Yeah, it's really kind of interesting at this point that we have the full league. Like half the league is at a 3-1 record, and I don't know I don't know who to say is like wrongfully there yet. Like everybody's kind of shown like yeah they can scrap with the top teams at
Yeah,
least. Even EG's 2-2, and they're 2-2 with Golden Guardians, but I feel like EG is like a lot better than Golden Guardians still. But what do I know? I don't have the proof of that. So it'll be interesting to see how any of those teams that are 3-1, like you said, the Dig Fly matchup is a good one to see if like they can prove like, oh yeah, we're way better than those guys. Like even though our records are the same, one way or another, it's gonna shake out one way.
yeah, and then C9's got the good treatment next week. They will be playing against CLG and then TSM, and then any other matchups that you're kind of looking forward to for next weekend.
I'm kind of interested to see some more EG games still. I'm liking their team. I've been watching some of Danny's stream when he's been streaming Champions Queue this week. I'm a fan of those guys, so I'm excited to see their game against TL on Saturday. Again, like I feel like EG, like I just said, they're probably not like deserving of this like sixth place 2-2 spot. So hopefully they get another shot to prove themselves against one of the top teams in TL.
Yeah, and speaking of which, I saw that JoJo is number one in Champions Queue right now, and I think even number two and number three are taken up by some people on the EG organization. So props to them for keeping it up so far.
Yeah, yeah, Champions Queue. I think that's been really fun to watch, is seeing all the guys like tryharding and getting to listen to comms and all that. So
Yeah, I was
cool.
wondering if we should, start keeping track of like who's top five in Champions Queue this week, and kind of do a little bit of like a snapshot week by week. Maybe we can start doing something like that next time.
Yeah, we might be able to look into that. Sounds kind of cool.
Any other matches from this upcoming week that you want to talk about?
I don't know, man. I think honestly we kind of hit. I think I'm still gonna be watching like C9 games whenever we can, just to see what shit they pull out this week. I'm still. That's honestly, I'm just interested to see if they keep it going, or like if every game is gonna be something spicy, or if we're gonna just see like randomly like a totally standard comp. Maybe they pick Renekton, but I'll watch those games as well.
For sure, for sure. And then so with that, we can go ahead and round out this episode with some picks of the week, which is a little difficult for me given that I haven't played the game, but I got a little something for you.
Okay, hit me with it.
Okay, so I haven't played the game, so I don't have a real pick, but my pick of the week will be that video that came out I think yesterday on Reddit where like the Tom Kench like spits out a minion and it curves around the Yasuo wind wall somehow. like
I
curving.
don't think I saw this one, but that sounds sick.
Yeah, and yeah, it's like it shows like it's like a clip where it shows like that scene from that movie Wanted with Angelina Jolie where like they curve bullets in that movie for some reason. And then
Uh-huh.
yeah, so in the clip he like the Tomcat spits, and it's old Tom Kench when you could like eat minions and spit them out. Um,
Right, right.
so I don't even know how this like why this clip is being posted all of a sudden, but anyway, he spits it and like the enemy Yasuo wind walls, and it like you can watch the minion in slow motion just ignore the wind wall, like wrap around it, and then still hit the Yasuo. It's like it's pretty entertaining. It's not even that funny, honestly. It's just like what the fuck, and like you caught that on camera, yeah, and then posted it months later after the Tom Kent reworked for some sweet karma.
Damn. Nice.
Yeah,
I
so
respect
that'll
that.
be my pick of the week.
All right, all right. I'll give you a normal pick of the week then. And this one, I don't know. It feels boring just because I'm like every once in a while, I feel like I'm already tired of this champ, but I get this, I have a little bit of, I don't know, something's tingling in me to say that Caitlyn's my pick of the week. Um, she's like, I don't know. I made jokes about it all the time. That was when we played in college. That was like the only champ I was allowed to play on the team just because that was the fucking meta. And so sometimes when it's the Caitlyn meta, it's just like, man, I'm so bored of playing Caitlyn or seeing Caitlyn. It's just like a normal long range AD carry. If she's really ahead, it's really oppressive. If she's behind, it's really useless. But like, I don't know. The champ is there's something there's some crack about her that's like it's fun to play, like really like crisp, like standard, like just ADC movements, right? You get to abuse your range, you get these strong headshot autos. If they waste their dashes onto you, you just eat away, and you're like, yeah, get away, get off me. You do a ton of damage. I like the champ, so I'll give that as my pick of the week now. Next week I might go back to saying no Caitlyn, get her away, but for now we're doing it.
Yeah, I think the best part about Caitlyn is anyone who puts in like 20 games of her, like you think that you're a cracked Caitlyn player. Like even junglers think that they're cracked Caitlyn players. So like Caitlyn gives back to you and it makes you feel good. And I think another thing that's funny that like has kind of gone on with like League meta is that like everyone gets the reference of like when you say any character like Caitlyn or Vi, you always say like, oh, from Arcane. Like that's
right.
That's so like the thing is like I felt like I was like trying to like start like force that joke in my friend groups, and then it's just like kind of cool to see that like everyone else is also doing it, and so like I'm
right.
not crazy for trying to push that joke onto my groups of people that I know. And then also yeah, like I'll just bounce around to different groups and they're already like on board with like, yeah, that's Vi from Arcane, like uppercutting me or stuff like that. So
I love it when you go into. I love it when you go into a streamer Twitch chat and it's just like whenever you're in champ select, they're in champ select, and Vi or Caitlyn or Jinx gets picked, and it's like, oh my god, bad chest, Caitlyn from Arcane, Powder from Arcane. Those are funny. I like that meme.
Yeah. That's going to be it for episode 45 of On the Hunt, a League of Legends podcast. I hope you all enjoyed it, and if you did, be sure to subscribe to our podcast on the service that you're listening to us on, if you haven't already. We'd appreciate it if you would also give us a rating or hit the like button to show some support. You can find us on YouTube as well as your podcast player of choice, from Apple Podcasts to Spotify and so forth. We'll see you all next week for another episode of On the Hunt.
See ya, folks.